Well, hey there everyone, and welcome back to r/EntitledParents. In today's episode, we've got an entitled mom trying to tell firefighters that they don't have her permission to put out a fire, as well as a few other insane entitled parents. But first, check out this video of this pyromaniac kid trying to burn down a store. She's trying to light this fire and someone walks by and she just plays it cool. Oh, nothing going on here, just an innocent kid. But she ends up getting this fire lit. Fast forward a couple minutes and it really starts getting out of control. And I don't know how this actually ended, that's right where the footage ends. Anyway, let's get into the stories. This one's called, "That Time an Entitled Parent Called My Boss to Complain Without Consulting the Dictionary." I'm now a high school principal, but back when I was a high school English teacher, I was teaching a grade 11 class with college-bound students. One of the units was on vocational writing, so we looked at how to write technical manuals, review articles, reports, etc. In one of the lessons, we were using a well-known magazine for aficionados of motorsports as models of article writing. One of the articles was a review of a new dirt bike, and the reviewer made a comment that went something like this: "While the styling is quite aggressive, and they upgraded the wheels, tires, and braking system, the engine performance is rather
niggardly,
especially when accelerating from a stop." I don't remember the exact quote, but this is a very close approximation. We worked on reviews for a couple of days, and I didn't think anything more of it. About a week later, I got a call from the vice principal to drop by the office after school. When I went in, she was in her office with a man who, from his body language, was clearly angry. I assumed she was in the middle of a meeting, so I just poked my head in and said, "Sorry to interrupt, I'll be here when you're ready." Immediately, the father shouted, "Is that him? Get him in here now." The VP attempted to calm him, but he interrupted and said, "I want him in here now. Don't calm down, sir, me." I came into the small office and remained standing with a bemused expression. "Is there something I can help you with?" The man interrupted with, "I don't appreciate what you're teaching my kid." Remember now, at this point, I didn't know who he was or why I was there. All I knew was a strange man was yelling at me and the VP. I am slow to anger, but I can be direct and strong when people get in my face. "Who are you?" I asked, and looked at the VP who had a "be careful, volatile" expression on her face. "And don't give me any of your BS, he kept yelling. "You're not hiding from me on this." "Who are you?" I asked again, "and what are you talking about?" The VP introduced us. "This is Mr. Hothead. He is Jimmy Hothead's father." Jimmy was a student in my grade 11 class. He was a nice enough boy and very easy to teach. I remained silent and continued to stare at Mr. Hothead. He glowered in response and turned to the VP. "I want him disciplined. I'll go to the school board if I have to. This is completely unacceptable, and I won't sit here and have you two try to cover it up." I looked at the VP and asked, "What are we talking about here?" She started to answer, but Mr. Hothead cut her off. "As if you don't know. This is what I'm talking about with you teachers always covering for each other. I'm not listening to your BS." "Okay then," I said as I turned and left the office. "This is unbelievable," Mr. Hothead shouted. "You get back here. I want him brought before the school board." I refused to return to the office as long as he was there, and the VP eventually had to threaten him with the police if he didn't leave. We sat down after he was gone, and she explained what happened. Apparently, Jimmy Hothead, the guy's son, sometime after the lesson on reviews, had quoted the article we had used in class, and the parents were shocked at the word
niggardly.
Mr. Hothead flipped out and came to the school with a copy of the article, demanding that the VP reprimand me for being a racist. I sent him a polite note in the mail explaining that
Niggardly
means stingy or miserly. In the context of the article, it meant that the bike didn't accelerate well. Now that is actually a pretty strange word. There's probably a good reason why I've never really heard this word used in casual conversation, but at the same time, that's still no excuse for this dad to go off like that. As the title said, he really should have consulted a dictionary first. This one's called, "Neighbor Lady is Mad That I Won't Let Her Kids Use My Pool Unsupervised." I just moved into a new place with a pool out back. The neighbor lady comes up to the fence the other day while I'm having a beer and doing some yard work. After the greetings and whatever, the rest goes like this. "The people who lived here before let my kids use the pool in the summertime. They're really sad about not being able to anymore," said the mom. And I'm just thinking, why guilt trip me? Just ask. And I say, "Oh, well, I don't mind, as long as you're there. I can't watch them." Well, the last people would watch them because their own kids were there too. They'd just sit out back, said the mom. "Okay, but I can't watch your kids. If they're gonna be in my pool, you have to be there," I said. "I don't have time," "I don't know why you can't just sit there and watch them so they can swim," said the mom. I had no idea how to respond to this. She caught me so off guard. Now I think I need to change the lock on the gate because I'm afraid she has a key and will send her kids over alone. I don't have a problem with the kids using the pool, but I don't want to babysit the kids of someone I don't know around water. Not to mention that all you're doing is being nice enough to give them permission to use the pool. How the kids are supervised is totally up to the parents, but they're expecting the pool owner to also be an unpaid babysitter. This story is called Entitled Mother vs. Firefighters, Fun Time Edition. Allow me to set the scene. An elderly homeowner has had family help clean up her yard, which has resulted in 2 large stacks. The local brigade arranged a permit to light and a time to burn off the stacks for her. We use stack burns to give new firefighters experience with fire in a controlled area. The permit is granted and neighbors are given a courtesy warning. The husband of the problem house gives the okay. Cue the day of the burn. The firefighters turn up with their 2 trucks, one for each stack. The hoses are laid out, a hydrant is set up as part of the training experience, and we are all ready to light. The neighboring house has a children's party going on. However, smoke is expected to go straight up. The signal is given, and the firefighters become happy pyromaniacs and light up the stacks, which take quite well. All is going well. Then the entitled mother enters stage left. "What are you doing? You can't do that. I didn't give permission." We politely explain that we notified and provided a copy of the permit to light as a courtesy. She disappears, fuming into her home. 5 minutes later, the first officer, whose name and contact details are on the permit, gets a very angry phone call. He moves away from the trucks and fire. Then we get an evil idea. Grinch who stole Christmas evil idea. We turn to the group of kids now gathered by the fence and say, "Who wants to have a go on the hose?" Being kids, the answer was an energetic yes. We had hydrant supply, a surplus of firefighters, and the stack burn was happily burning away. We rearranged the hoses, put out a few traffic cones as targets, and had fun. The first officer comes back, sees what has happened, and grins. The entitled mother comes back out with that I won sort of walk to find her party relocated to the fire trucks, with happy parents taking photos of their children on the hoses, stickers, always have stickers on hand, and smiles all around. Go on, tell us we have to stop so we don't ruin your party. This story is called Entitled Mom Let My Brother Ruin My Car and is Mad That I'm Making Him Pay For It. I'm a 23-year-old female. I have a very rocky relationship with my brother, a 22-year-old. And to be frank, I hate him. I know hate is a strong word, but he has made my life a living hell. I have 2 other siblings, a 25-year-old brother and a 19-year-old sister. My brother is on the spectrum. He's always had severe anger issues, and he's also my parents' golden child. He always gets his way, and if he doesn't, then he can throw a tantrum that lasts for days. The littlest thing could set him off. He's like a ticking time bomb. Whenever my brother has his tantrums, my mom would just drop me and my other siblings at my grandparents' house until he calmed down. Because his tantrums were so frequent, we were over at their house a lot. I didn't mind though. I loved spending time with my grandparents, especially my grandpa. We were super close. We bonded over our shared love of vintage cars. My grandpa had a large car collection. His favorite car though was his silver Mercedes 300 SL. It's a beautiful car, and it was his most prized possession. My grandpa died 3 months ago, and it really messed me up. I'm still trying to process his death. Recently, we had to gather at my grandpa's house to read his will. My grandpa was a very wealthy man, and he had a lot of assets to share. I won't go into details, but everyone got a pretty fair share of the inheritance. Things got tricky when it came down to the sentimental items though. See, my grandpa had willed his beloved Mercedes to me. I was so happy, as I had grown to love that car over the years. But my brother, however, was furious. He demanded that I hand over the rights to my grandfather's car to him. I was shocked. I didn't even know he had an interest in the car, and he's never expressed even the slightest interest in my grandfather's cars. My grandpa and my brother didn't get along for reasons that I won't get into, but apparently my brother said that his Mercedes was promised to him. My mother backed him up, saying that she remembered Grandpa promising to give him the Mercedes when we were little. They were pressuring me to give up the car, but I couldn't bear to part with one of the only memories I have of my grandpa. When my brother saw that I wasn't going to give up the car, in a fit of rage, he poured wine all over the interior. I'm not proud to say this, but I cried for hours. That car was so important to me, and filled with so many memories, and it was ruined for absolutely no reason. I lawyered up, and served my brother his papers. My phone has been blowing up with texts from my family members telling me that I'm an ass for suing my brother, that I shouldn't take family to court. But I don't care. I know my brother, and this is the only way that he'll pay. My mom tried to use his autism as an excuse, but his autism isn't all that bad, and he destroyed my property. Now I'm starting to feel like the ass because it seems no one but my grandma is on my side. So Reddit, am I the a-hole? Also, I live in Nigeria. Will readings are definitely a thing here. And a lot of people seem to think that I'm suing my brother for the full price of the car, or that I'm pressing charges. I would like to clarify that I am not doing either. My car is currently getting detailed, and it will take a while. I'm suing my brother for the cost of the detailing, and only that. I'm not pressing charges because I feel that it's a bit much. I have gone no contact with him and my parents though, and my only form of communication with any of my family is through my grandma and my other siblings. I am still working through the legal stuff, and yes, I am still suing my brother. In my opinion, OP is not the a-hole here, her brother is. He needs to pay up for what he did, and it just isn't fair for her to pay out of pocket for what her brother did. And if suing him is what it's gonna take to get him to pay up, then so be it, honestly. And that's it for today's stories. Thanks for watching. As always, drop a like if you enjoyed, and subscribe if you want to see more. Have an awesome day, stay beautiful, and I'll see you next time.